Welcome back to TLT Talks. I am coming to you live from Casa de Lidbeck. New pods, these pods. Anybody else get these noise canceling pods? My ears, it literally just keep falling out. We have a very exciting guest for you today. Somebody from our very own team. Hey Melina, how are you doing? How is it going in these crazy times? Lidbeck team's joining us. We have one of our very own coming on our show today. He'll be requesting to jump on any minute now. There he is. There's the big guy. Kate, how's it going? How's everything? Guys, as we do this, feel free to drop in comments, questions. We'll be discussing today the real estate market and trends and what's happening. So please join me in welcoming the one, the only, someone we refer to as Superman on our team. There he is, Mr.
What's
James
up?
Fierro. How goes it, sir?
It's going well. How are we doing?
Pretty good. So let me take an opportunity to introduce you. James is actually one of the top producers on our team and very, very heavily involved in the rental market, the sale market, buyers, sellers, new development, the works. And so I thought it'd be great. And we keep getting questions about the market, what to do, tips, what's going on with pricing, what's going on with inventory. So we thought it'd be a great idea to just jump on, have an open discussion around what we're seeing in the marketplace. Guys, again, if you have questions, comments, comment below or ask us questions. It's meant to be engaging and interactive. But for those that may not know Superman, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
Well, everybody should know, but it's okay if you don't. So it's crazy. I've been on the team for like over 5 years now, 5.5 years, I think.
Yeah, almost 6.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I've been in real estate for almost 10 years at this point. And then, yeah, I handle both. Mainly I'm in the sales market, but do handle investment, handling investors in condos as well to rent out. So buyers, sellers, new development, landlords, kind of do a little bit of it all. Over the course of that amount of time, you get to experience a lot, especially on this team. Yeah, born and raised Buffalo, New York, live in Hell's Kitchen with my girlfriend and 2 old dogs, and yeah, that's where I'm at, man.
Very cool. Back in the day when we used to do TLT Talks as a recording, I used to ask people a fun fact about them. What do you want to share with our audience? What's a fun fact about the James Fierro?
Oh man, fun fact. I have to choose just one, so I'll go with. I used to be a ballroom dancer. I feel like I
Nice.
use that one a lot, but I'm getting more into competitive, like endurance racing. I'm going to sign up for another one very soon. I've done the I think it's the ultra, where it's like basically running up and down a mountain for 15 miles. So I'm trying to get back to that, or I'm going to get back to that.
There you go. You know how I feel about language. There you go.
Exactly.
I just literally, James. So this is a look behind the curtain. James and I, we got on a quick Zoom to prepare for this live, and I told him I just got these noise canceling AirPods because they're doing all kinds of drilling in my building, and literally for the life of me, I can't keep missing James. Literally, I clicked live, and the first thing that happened is the AirPods fell out.
Popped out.
In the first 3 seconds, I'm like scrambling, trying to oh man. Is it my ears? Do I got weird ears? Like, what's happening with these things?
No.
Anyways,
The AirPods fault.
I guess. So look, to everybody that might be watching, that has questions, feel free to chime in. But I thought we would deliver. There are 3 sizes of buds. That would have been helpful to know before I purchased them. All right, Melina, we'll talk after this. Thank you, and we'll talk after this. Talk to us, as the market is, as we've been coming out of COVID, we're entering phase 4 now soon. I think I can't keep track anymore. Talk to me about the market. What are you seeing? What are you seeing in terms of inventory? Like, just give me a little bit of your take on what you're seeing happen with, it's basically like week by week, right? Every week is its own tale. So tell me what you're seeing. What's the landscape, etc.
It is, and that's why I say it's like, everybody asks me this because this is the most common question I'm getting right now, obviously, and I'm answering it several times a day on a daily basis. And I always start with, if you had asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I would have given you a totally different answer.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, we're just a month into phase 2. And really it took, and then it was the 4th of July weekend. So it took a lot of time to really get the ball rolling. But right now, inventory, we're seeing more and more things come online. And what's actually really cool about it is if you look at the edge, which is our bread and butter, but if you look at everything, buyers have a lot of options right now. So it's actually really nice that they don't have to spend months searching for the right thing and waiting for this to come up. It's really easy to get a full sense of the market and what you can expect. And things are getting gobbled up. So we saw a huge spike in new inventory coming online. And we also know every single broker has a fair amount of shadow inventory as well.
Right.
Sellers that maybe don't want to list right now, but still are willing to sell. So we get the off-market emails, we have coming soon, private exclusive, we have all these really cool tools. So in addition to what we see online, there's a lot of this off-market stuff. But at the same time, again, inventory is up, but so is buyer activity. It took a little bit of time to get there. So we are seeing that product actually move and go into contract and fairly quickly, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with all that. James and I partner a lot of business together. Then obviously we have a Monday morning sales meeting where everybody's discussing, their inventory, their take, and it's really kind of like the war room. And yeah, I mean, for a long time there was no reason to list sales listings because you couldn't see apartments, and somebody might rent an apartment through a video. But it's not very likely that someone's going to pay top dollar or even just buy an apartment that they're going to live in or for investment without physically walking the space. It's not that it doesn't happen, but it's not that common. So all through March and April, we saw inventory go way down, even into May, really. And then June, things really started to open up. All of a sudden, I mean, I think there was more listed in June than there was in the collection of March, April, and May. Would you say that's about right, James?
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, and I totally agree with that. It used to be that inventory was so tight. So when someone would reach out to us for an investment property or for a home, we'd have to send them things that were already sold to explain like, hey, this is you can get something like this. Whereas today, I think, James, you're spot on that someone could go out, my budget's $1 million, I want a 1-bedroom, etc. And here you go, here's 15 apartments to look at, and so not only is it that you can get a real good sense of the market, but also the reality is you do have options. The inventory
Right.
is not very limited, and you do have some options, right? So I think that's really spot on. And so what are you seeing as far as hold on, I think we have a question coming in. Oh, we got a couple questions. Nope, we got from story. We got Sarah Katz asked, are you seeing any post-COVID trends in terms of what buyers are looking for? Oh, great question, Sarah Katz.
That's a good question. So it's two things, and it's a balance. It's space and it's outdoor space. And space, and what I mean by that is if it has a ton of outdoor space, buyers love it. It's really cool. But if it's smaller on the interior, we live in New York City. There's 4 seasons. So you can't spend year round on your outdoor space. And especially when the summer like we've had, where it's almost 100 degrees, people are looking for interior square footage. So if they can get set up, especially even if whether you're an individual or a couple or you have kids, buyers want that extra space so they can actually work from that is going to be outside of your living room.
Right.
But it is the things that have also just a little bit of outdoor space those are even more popular. So if you can find that real combination of the two, that's what every buyer is looking for.
Yeah, for sure.
It depends on the person, but I feel like even people are leaning a little bit more towards interior square footage if it's easy access to a park or the building has a roof deck. So there's definitely that premium for outdoor space. But work from home, it's like the new normal. Maybe
That's
not
it.
forever, but for a very long time.
You know what, man? I don't know. I think commercial and retail are going to get hit the worst side of this thing. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I think anyone that thinks we're going to go back to a regular normal might be a little bit kooky. There's going to be a normal, but it's going to be a new normal. And
for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's funny because when we used to price apartments for rent or for sale, it was all about, making it as efficient and value driven as possible. So instead of making an 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom, if you went 900 square feet 2-bedroom, that's going to go faster because the sales price will be cheaper. And, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that even though the market is softer, people actually want to buy
Yeah.
homes, like they used to be in the 80s and 90s where you got lots of square
Yeah.
footage and you did have the dining nook and you did have the home office area and you did have the big living room. And it wasn't just like, over time, apartments got smaller and smaller because prices kept going up and the value apartments traded the fastest. And
Right.
now it's feeling like people are really appreciating almost like the pre-war product, right? Like almost like that little bit of bigger, a little bit I could spread my elbows, that elbow room product. I just got distracted for a second with Sarah and Melina and Vadim and bagels. There's a whole
I saw that.
there's a whole thing happening in the chat. Vadim, yes, I love you, buddy. We miss your bagels. Yes, Sarah. Anything that has to do with food, I would immediately associate to Melina as well. That is totally fair game. So what do you see? Like, so obviously there's a lot of inventory. It feels like the buyer demands or perspective or needs are shifting a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a 180, but there's
Agree.
certain shifts. So what are you seeing? Like what are the deals that are actually getting done? Like what do you see happening in this market?
But can you repeat the
Oh
question?
boy. I was saying I think we're in alignment that the buyers, are you there?
I'm back. Yes,
Hey
I'm here.
buddy. Hey, welcome
Hey,
welcome back. Faster than a speeding bullet.
there you
What'd you go?
go.
You just go sell another apartment?
Yeah,
You
just
just
go.
go sell another apartment? What'd you do?
Yeah, over ask.
I love it. I love it. Wouldn't be our first one this week. Whoop. No, but we'll get into all that. We'll get into all that. But I think we're seeing that buyer demands and needs, are shifting a little bit, not a total 180, but a little bit. And the market is a little bit soft, but what are you seeing? What are the deals that are getting done? What are you seeing as far as the market pulse?
So I mean, it's really busy. It's essentially if you're well priced, really anything, especially Brooklyn, like the Brooklyn market is very, very active right now.
Uh,
Across the board, I remember conversations again 2 weeks ago that we were having with sellers where we listed something we thought was a great price and we get one inquiry
yeah,
and had the oh no moment. How is this market going to happen? Fast forward, I'm showing that particular apartment 6 to 8 times a week.
mm,
And I'm seeing that pretty much across everything. It might not be that busy. That's a little bit of a one-off, but everything is getting a lot of traffic. Buyers, it's talking about what options they have. We're seeing more and more buyers that are coming to listings, doing a tour, and I follow up with them and, they're expressing interest in our listing or they made an offer on something.
right,
So buyers are moving. They're taking advantage of, we see everything with rates and with qualified buyers and the deals. And as long as they're willing to open up a conversation, they want to begin that. The
right.
serious buyers are out there and they're very, very active right now.
Yeah. Yeah, when I, this question came up a lot during COVID, like what's going to happen this and that, and I was like, there's the rates are still historically low. The market is still pretty soft. It's not down, I wouldn't say down, but it's soft. And for all those buyers that were stuck between March, April, May, I'm like, okay, well in June, all the shadow inventory is going to come to market, and there's going to be a frenzy. And for quality product that's priced well, there's going to be competition. It's not
Yep.
just going to be that they go, but there's actually going to be competition. We had a listing. It's not in contract yet, so I can't disclose the property address. But we had a listing that we listed in the market that we thought was fairly priced, not over, not under, just fairly priced. And insane. We had like 20 or 30 showings, and we ultimately got about 2% over the asking price, which is waiting to sign that contract. And so it's at the end of the day, in every single market, pricing matters. And if you overprice, you're going to end up being stuck. If you price to market, and market is a subjective piece, right? Because everyone has a different interpretation of market. But if you price to market, there's always a demand. At the end of the day, real estate is real estate. Renting is really expensive. Renting, you don't build anything. And you and I just did that video yesterday for our new development at 141 Garnett. And my close was literally, no matter what, there's always a demand for beautiful real estate. People got to live somewhere.
Exactly.
And renting, it's good for a very short while, but like ultimately, I mean, some of our greatest success in my personal life with my wife was through our real estate. We got into the edge fairly early, and then we just rode that equity. It would get more expensive. We'd sell it and ride, and we went from a small 1 bedroom to a $2 million apartment without putting in any extra money. We just rode the wave of the real estate. So look, and then there's the obvious statistic that in the last 50 to 100 years, whatever it is, real estate is the second best performing asset class, only to the S&P index, right?
Right.
And it's also interesting because Vadim says Long Island market is off the charts. Everyone's moving out here. I'm seeing that a lot too. A lot of our clients are selling and moving to New Jersey, Westchester, Connecticut, Florida, and so those markets are on fire. I mean, bidding wars, prices are going up, kind of nutty. And I do think that, I mean, you'll tell me your thoughts on this. I do think there are some buyers out there that are really the bargain hunters. They're expecting to go out, and regardless of what the comps are, what the asking price is, they intend to make offers 15, 20, 10% below the asking price. And they're in it for the deal. Not necessarily they want to buy, but they're in it like for the deal.
Right.
And I think that's available with desperate sellers or sellers that maybe have built a bunch of equity in. So if someone's apartment is listed for $2 million and they bought it for $1 million 10 years ago, maybe that seller's okay to walk away from, $100,000 of optimized sales value to capitalize on the rest.
Right.
New development, obviously, they've got to fill units. So, maybe you get a deal done there. But I would say ultimately, it really is case by case. Every seller, every listing, every buyer, it's very case by case. And I think it's kind of cool to see that the market is back in terms of transactions. People are moving around. People are making things happen.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a big differential in, offer to asking price? Like, what are you seeing as far as that?
I think to your point earlier, it is a bit of a softer market, and sellers are prepared to price in a little bit of negotiation room. But it is like pricing does matter. It's all over the map. There's several brokers I'm speaking with that they are in contract at the asking price or really, really close to it inside of a week or 2 weeks. And then there are, to your point, especially new development, we've been involved in a couple of negotiations where it is 15, 20% below the asking price with concessions and with all these other things. And, it's a matter of what the individual unit is. And I do want to address the Long Island people fleeing the city. I find that it's really easy to say that, but I think what we have is we have a unique perspective of speaking with so many different people. I have clients ranging from individuals looking for studios to people looking for multifamily homes over $3-4 million. And sure, there are people who are leaving the city, but at the same time, what we kind of forget is two things. We've been on hold for 4 months. So inventory there's going to be that spike. And it's still summer in New York City, where people always leave to go to the Hamptons, to go to Westchester. They take their families, they get out, they go to those places. And a lot of those buyers maybe are renting for the summer and they're not going to come back. But I'm having more conversations of people saying they're done with their rental homes. They don't want to spend all this money on renting in Westchester or the Hamptons, and they're coming back. They're coming back home. And once they get back in a month or two, they want to talk about listing in the summer. And if we're looking year over year, summer is dead in the sales market typically. Inventory is always way low. So there is going to be, it's really like what I'd say is with any argument, you can find a statistic to support your claim. But if you have a real sense of the market, let's just think through this. But I do think there are a lot of people that are coming back. And Long Island's on fire, Westchester's on fire. Not everybody wants to get in on that market. And they feel like, I'm speaking with more and more people where they feel like they're being taken advantage of because they're fleeing the city and they're like, this is crazy. I'm putting in offers over asking price. I've seen 10 different houses and it's just enough is enough. Because that's not, we saw that in New York City, 2013, 2014. That's also not a healthy market. It's nice. I'm sure realtors in those segments are having a blast. but you can only sustain that for so long.
Yeah, it's true. Sarah Katz with a great question. Sarah Kat asks, why is it so busy?
Because people have the time, I think, from working from home. They have a little bit more time to dedicate on searching. Rates are insanely low right now. If you're a qualified buyer, it's
like, here, take our money.
Please borrow and buy. And people are ready to move. If you've been in your home for a long period of time, like we talked about earlier, if you wanted that outdoor space, now you really want the outdoor space. There's even more of a need to upgrade and have a little bit of a larger apartment. So all of that, it's just a combination of softer market, people realizing that they do want that extra thing in their home combined with lower rates, they're going to get out there. And
Yeah.
you know, serious
Yeah.
buyers are getting great deals with low
Yeah.
pricing and low rates.
Yeah, Sarah, it's like think of it like a dam, right? It's like for 3 months, all this demand got pent up, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden the dam is open and whoosh, like everyone's just back
yeah,
out and about. And I wouldn't even, I don't even think we're in full swing yet. I don't even think
me
we're in
either.
full swing yet because you do still have a lot of people that are, still. I mean, one of our agents, that won't leave the house. So you do still have people that are still not around. You do still have some buyers that think the market's not at the bottom. So I think we're just sort of warming up. James, we're gonna have to wrap up in the next
Yes.
5 to 6 minutes. As you are a real estate guru, you work with buyers, you work with sellers, you work with new development. I know because I helped make you a guru. Uh, Tell me your top tips for a seller that needs to be, going to the market right now. When they're getting ready to list, what are some of your top tips for sellers?
Tip number one is pricing matters. It
Mm-hmm.
always matters, but it really matters right now. It's not the time to try to set a record or go to ambitious pricing.
Right.
Even though it might look like it's the right price, you have to really take a deep dive in the market and price correctly. That extra 2-3% is not worth it to get lost in the noise and to sit on the market. Price
Yeah.
correctly, and you'll get traffic. And the second one is it's tough as a seller, but patience.
Mm-hmm.
Like where, I know you can speak to the fact that there's things that it might not be high traffic, but it just takes one buyer. And in this type of market, buyers are we don't need a high volume of traffic. Even though you're just getting that handful of showings per week, every single showing really matters because every single showing is with an active buyer.
Yeah, so true. We had one we had one listing we're in contract on where it's everything James was talking about earlier. We listed it 6 days, no inquiries, no calls, no emails, no nothing. We're like gulp. Then the 7 day there's one inquiry, and that one inquiry we're able to turn into a contract. Like just
Yeah,
one and done.
yeah,
Also, it's really look. I think trends are really important. I think you're so spot on with this, James. I think trends are really important to remember. The rule of thumb in real estate is 30 days to 30 buyers, right? You got to give the property 30 days to get enough people in there. Or if it's like a hot listing, there's 30 buyers in, a week or two, and there's no offers, it's time to make a shift. Then we went through this like crazy market from about 2011 basically to like 2017 where things were flying a weekend. And somewhere along the way, we all lost perspective. We all lost perspective. We lost that perspective that like, if I list it, I've done 2 open houses, I've had 15 showings, no one's taken it. Oh my God, I got to drop the price. And it's like,
yeah,
man, despacito, like just relax. People are buying a home. It used to be that real estate took 3 to 4 months to sell, and that was the norm. And then through this crazy, so it's just, I think be patient, really smart. I think building a little bit of negotiating room. You got to find that balance. It's not so high where people don't see it, but if you just list it ask, people do want a deal. And there are some cases where you'll get the ask or close to or even above. But if you can reverse engineer it and leave yourself a little bit of room, a little bit of wiggle room to have those negotiations so everyone's going to the closing table feeling good, I think that's pretty wise. But
yeah.
most importantly is, whichever broker you're working with, make sure you guys are reading the market. What's been listed, what's went to contract, what's closed. It is a new market out there right now. Q1 was the busiest quarter we've seen in like 5 years, but that's behind us. Then there was COVID, which is the polar opposite, but that's behind us. And right now the market's rediscovering itself. So the comps from 3 months ago or 6 months ago, a year ago, don't really matter. You got to really watch what's going on out there today and make sort of best educated guesses. James, what about for buyers? Any tips for buyers out there looking?
Buyers just don't wait too long. If you find
Yeah.
something that you like, begin the conversation. I'm not saying you have to go at asking price. We talked about going over ask. You don't have to do that. But if you see something you like, jump on it. You might get that deal. The deal might just be that you get a place that you really, really love.
Right.
But if this is not a time to sit in back and see what else comes on, if it's well priced and if it looks really nice, open it up. You never know where the price is going to go, but it doesn't cost you anything to begin a conversation.
Yeah, I think it's Warren Buffett that says only a fool tries to time the market.
Yeah,
Right? Like there's
yeah,
no everyone talks about they want to buy at the bottom, but it's not true. They want to buy at the bottom with certainty that it's the bottom, And
Right.
here's the thing:
Never know.
you never know when it's bottom. And so, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Especially if you're somebody that's renting and overpaying on rent, or you're really uncomfortable, or just take a look at the whole picture. But ultimately, look, the thing is this: if you bought a place, and even let's say the market went down by 2, 3, 4%, who cares? You're not selling it.
Yeah.
So gains and losses are only realized once there's a transaction. So if you got into a great home now and you love it, and the market goes down by 20, 30, 40 grand, who cares? This market will bounce back. Every time in the last 50 years, it's been 6, 7, 8 years of an up market, and then there's 12 to 24 months of stagnancy or pullback or something, and then it takes off again. So over on a
Yeah.
10-year candlestick, even if there was a year or two of pullback, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll build your equity. You're not wasting money on rent. You get to enjoy your home. And if you're an investor, go look at all those neighborhoods right now. Look at Greenpoint. Look at Clinton Hill, where we have our new development. Look at Crown Heights, where we just sold out a new development. Look at South Williamsburg, where they're doing all this development. And again, even if there's a little bit more room to go down, who cares? Get in there, get your hands on some of these concessions or some of these negotiated prices. And then in the next 3, 4, 5 years, as the neighborhood emerges and the market emerges too, you're going to see amazing gains. So
Yeah.
not surprisingly, I think this feedback is spot on. I think there was one more question from Sarah Katz. Sarah Katz asked, can you take out a loan for me so I can buy? Sarah Katz, I've taught you all too well about this don't ask, don't get policy. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Tune in next week for the answer.
Tune in next week for the answer. If there are no more questions or comments, James, I know how busy you are. I know you got showings and listings and stuff all over the city. Thank you for your time. It is an honor and a pleasure to work with you. I'm very excited for the rest of this year and the future. To all joining, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Have a
sir.
great day, everyone.
You too. Bye, everyone.
See you guys. Bye-bye.